Hello, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to continue our discussion on material pricing, and this time we're going to look at the lumber material. First of all, we're going to make some adjustments to our quantities. We're going to use 20% on the lumber and 15% of the waste on the plywood. In order to make our formula easier, again, we're going to name some cells. Go to the 20% of the lumber, right-click. We're going to call this thing as lumber waste. Again, without any space for the name. Do the same thing for the plywood. Right click, define name, and then type plywood waste without a space. With lumber, take your quantity times lumber waste. Drag this down. Apparently, you can just minimize the decimals. Do the same thing with plywood. Take the quantity and multiply that by plywood waste. Drop the decimal. Copy it down. With adjusted quantity, just add up the original quantity plus the waste. That's all we really have to do. Before we continue on to pricing, it's also important to notice our lumber was measured in board feet. The plywood was measured in square feet. Now let's look at the quotes from our suppliers. For example, this is 2x4. One piece of 14 feet will cost us $2.65. What we need to do is to get a unit price per board foot. So this way we can work with our quantities. Also, we have another column. It's the conversion factor for every piece of lumber depending on their dimension. We're getting the board foot per linear foot of lumber. This information was provided early in our exercises. For those of you who have trouble in understanding it, you can review the previous video. Now, the first thing we do is to calculate in that piece of lumber how many board foot we have. We will just use the formula to do this calculation. Really simple, just to take your linear foot per piece, multiply that by the conversion factor board foot per linear foot. Now to get the dollar value per board feet, all you have to do is to take that quote, which is in pieces, divide that by how many board feet in that piece. Drag down the formula for both columns. Similar idea can be applied to plywood pricing. In this case, the quotes are in sheets. For example, $15 per one sheet of 8 feet by 4 feet. Therefore, in that one sheet, we know the square footage will be 32. All we have to do is to take the quote per sheet and divide by how many square feet in one sheet. Then we have the dollar value per square foot. Let's put everything together. In the quantity column, we are including the waste. The unit prices for lumber have already been converted to dollar per board foot. The unit prices on plywood have already been converted to dollar per square foot. Type equal, take the quantity times the unit price. In order to copy that from supplier 1 to supplier 2 for the formula, what you need to do again is to add a dollar sign before that B. Drag this down. If you don't want to use copy and paste, you can always on your keyboard do Control C to copy and Control V to paste. We'll finish to the bottom. Now we can actually copy the whole column to the next supplier. This concludes our short tutorial on the pricing for lumber and plywood. Hopefully you find today's exercise helpful. We'll see you next time. Thank you.